rise of social media, family vlogging content has become very popular. Garnering billions of views monthly, there is definitely an audience for this form of online content.
From 19 kids and accounting in the early 2000s on TLC to family vloggers like the Ace family on YouTube and TikTok, this trend does not seem to be going anywhere.
However, thousands of viewers are now worried about the safety of the children posted online. This issue most recently surfaced from the September arrest of notable family vlogger Ruby Franke of the 8 Passengers channel, which has over 2.3 million subscribers on YouTube.
The AP reported that Franke was arrested for 6 counts of aggravated child abuse.
With thousands of family content creators, not every online personality is engaging in this dangerous behavior. But how do we stop those who are?
This form of content can often be heartwarming and wholesome. So how do we know when our favorite creators cross a fine line? How does growing up online impact a child's development? All this and much more right now on That Point.
Good evening and welcome. I'm Srushti Karve.
And I'm Jezelle Anim-Addo. How does social media exposure and participating in the online space affect a child's well-being? Does it affect their relationships with their family, with friends, with themselves? Srushti interviewed Dr. Nicholas Wagner of Boston University to find out more on this issue.
Thank you, Jezelle. Today I'm here with Dr. Nicholas Wagner, Assistant Professor in the Department of Psychological and Brain Sciences at Boston University and Director of the Biobehavioral and Social Emotional Development Lab. Thank you so much for joining me today on That Point.
Of course, thanks for having me.
My first question is, much of your research focuses on how early childhood experiences affect later social emotional growth. How might a child be affected by early exposure to widespread attention via social media?
Yeah, that's a great question. So the development of the child in the context of family is an ongoing and complicated process. And I think to start, it would be helpful to consider the family, as we often do in our research, as a system that's comprised of different parts or individuals that are characterized by a structure and that are adapting and growing together and changing over time. And that family or that system is impacted by things that happen within the family and those relationships, but also things that happen in the outside world. And that can include external stresses and adversity, things like the pandemic obviously had major impacts on families and relationships in families. And I think that we might think about social media exposure in the same way. And so that exposure impacts individuals, but it also impacts relationships and families. And the work that's been done on this topic has focused on all of those different things. So the parent-child relationship and also the developing child.
My next question is, you've personally researched the connections between harsh and controlling parenting behaviors and an increase in childhood anxiety and depression. So what might be the physiological and psychological emotional effects on children who are exposed to exploitative content by their influencer parents?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So when trying to understand adaptive or potentially maladaptive outcomes for kids, there are lots of factors at play, including things that the child brings to the table. So self-regulation, how kids perceive their environment and threats that may be in the environment. And they bring those resources with them, but parents play a big role in helping kids to develop those things and learn those things, and parents' own regulation in those contexts also play a large role. In the context of sort of increased exposure, another sort of context that kids navigate, parents can provide external regulation and kids can leverage that supportive and hopefully secure relationship that they've developed with parents to navigate those things. But as they develop, I think those experiences become ingrained, and the job of regulating through those things sort of shifts from external regulators such as the parents to the child themselves.
Makes sense. Are there any best practices or recommendations for influencer parents to ensure they create a safe and respectful online presence for their children?
So I think it's the job of every parent to provide a safe and supportive environment. As children grow, they increase in their desire to develop autonomy and to exert autonomy and to make choices. Definitely as they enter into adolescence, that's a main focus of the parent-child relationship, and ways that parents can support that transition to autonomy while providing support and protection. And the social media and sort of online landscape, I think, is really complex, and parents are still figuring out how to navigate those things. I think there are some core aspects of that relationship that would be relevant. Things like having open conversations that are developmentally appropriate about potential risks and experiences that children have or that the family has. Providing a sense of predictability and support. And so in many different ways, conveying that children have sort of a secure base in their family and that there are things that are unchanging and unwavering. And then sort of always learning new ways to help protect against any threats or risks that are associated with social media exposure, because that landscape is always changing. And I think some parents are probably understand the landscape better than others. But I think that those core ideas still apply.
Right. So this month, YouTuber influencer Ruby Frankie of the family channel 8 Passengers was formally charged with 6 counts of felony child abuse. Her channel, which amassed a total of 2.3 million subscribers, routinely documented her severe punishments and strict parenting style. Despite this, the channel only grew in popularity. So on that note, how can followers in general contribute to preventing and reporting child exploitation by influencer parents on social media platforms?
Yeah, so I mean, I think this story I think is troubling, and I think it's also critical that folks who are parents themselves or watch other people parent, either through social media or TV shows or anything else, having an understanding of the core goals of that parent-child relationship is important. Children develop an internal working model or schema of the relationship with their parent and use that internal working model or schema of that relationship to guide how they form relationships throughout their lives. And when parents are both the source of threat and fear, but also are meant to be a source of security and protection, that has really important and negative implications for kids' long-term outcomes. And so if examples like you just gave that would qualify as sort of severe instances of abuse, all the way to, I'm definitely not social media savvy, but sort of things on TikTok of, violating expectations on the part of the kid, like, some of these things seem sort of silly, but inducing that fear and sort of threatening the emotional security that kids expect in families, if it persists, can have negative consequences.
Right. And are there any ongoing research studies or just efforts aimed at understanding the scope and impact of child development in the context of influencing or maintaining their online presence?
That's a really good question. I think this is a newer phenomena. I think that lots of the work that's been done in the world of family psychology and developmental psychology for the past 50 years has a lot to say about these sorts of things, and some of the core ideas that we've discussed, I think are highly relevant. I think what is changing is children's access to social media. There's lots of work on documenting the impact of social media exposure on kids. A recent report by the U.S. Surgeon General, and there was a big Gallup poll that came out last week actually that documented just how ubiquitous social media use is for teens in the U.S., something like 5 hours a day, more than any other type of activity, media-based or not. And if you look at overall trends, there seems to be pretty good support for the idea that the more kids are on social media, the worse their mental health outcomes. But I think one of the things that is important for us to continue to investigate are the nuances within that use, because on the flip side, there's some research to suggest that those positive connections that kids have with peers can happen via social media, that can be a landscape for parents to engage positively with their kids. And so it's not as simple as saying, doing more of this thing is a risk factor. I think how it's done is what's really important to think about.
And that's all the time we have for today. We'd like to thank Professor Nicholas Wagner for joining us at On That Point. What about children that aren't public figures? Is it possible that they could also be affected by watching family vlogging? That they could form relationships with their online idols? Now we go to Lauren to break down this phenomenon.
Thank you, Srushti. While the case against Ruby Franke is a prime example of how parents exploit their own children for content, children can also be exploited through their screens by the seemingly faraway celebrities and influencers they adore. Colleen Ballinger, a popular YouTube star known for her online personality Miranda Sings, was driven from the internet for allegations of grooming her minor fans. In May, Ballinger was exposed for engaging in group chats with her fans, most of whom were under the age of 18 at the time. In these group chats, Ballinger shared private information regarding her relationship with her ex-husband and asked her fans questions regarding intimate subjects. At the forefront of the allegations was Adam McIntyre, an Irish content creator and former member of Ballinger's fandom from age 9. He developed a close personal and semi-professional relationship with Ballinger from ages 13 to 17. In 2020, a then 17-year-old McIntyre posted a video on YouTube called Colleen Ballinger Stop Lying, in which he accused Ballinger of using him to get content to boost her Miranda Sings account without receiving any compensation. McIntyre also shared that he received inappropriate details about Ballinger's divorce and that Ballinger gifted him a lingerie set on a live stream when he was just 14. Many other former fans of Ballinger have come forward this year with similar claims about Ballinger's abuse of power. One former fan, Becky, described her experience at Ballinger's live show, where the then 16-year-old Becky was called on stage, where Ballinger coaxed her into an inappropriate position. Becky reported feeling unsafe leaving the venue and receiving uncomfortable looks from older men afterwards. What was Ballinger's only response to these allegations? The Toxic Gossip Train, a 10-minute ukulele song in which Ballinger denies accusations, saying, "I'm not a groomer, I'm just a loser." Ballinger has since been absent from the internet. Clearly, even child internet viewers can fall victim to internet exploitation and manipulative relationships online. So where should parents draw the line when it comes to underage internet viewership? Is there a line to be drawn at all? Now, back to you, Jezelle and Srushti.
Today, I am here with Brittany Christiana, or as she is better known online, BrittiKitty, an enormously successful social media content creator. Brittany makes children and family videos with her husband and 2 children, Lily and Violet, and has gained over 800 million likes on TikTok alone. Brittany, thank you so much for joining us. How are you?
Thanks for having me. I'm doing great.
Amazing. Thank you so much for coming on. So to start, what first made you get into the content creation field?
So I didn't mean to get into the content creation field. It all started when Lily was 6 months old. And I worked at a middle school, which I still work at, and it was the summer, and my dad had just passed away like 2 weeks prior, and I just needed something to distract myself, and I heard all of the kids talking about TikTok, and I never heard of it before. This was 2019, before COVID, so like no one knew what TikTok was. And so I downloaded it one night, and I got addicted. I was like, this is so fun. Like, these videos are hilarious. And I was watching them for like 2 weeks, and then all of a sudden I was like, I saw this little video of someone like doing like this little dance. And I was like, maybe I should try that with Lily. And so I did. She just did a little dance and we got 300,000 views on that
That
video
is
alone.
insane.
I was like, what is this? This is crazy. And so that's how it started. I posted another one and it got 1 million views and I just never stopped after that.
Yeah. So how has your content creation changed from the start up until now?
I think it's pretty much the same. We did change a little bit, but in the beginning it was more of Lily's firsts, like Lily's first time having a lemon, Lily's first time seeing snow. And I think we still do that to an extent, but then we also add in like trends now, which I never used to do. So like if there's something trending, I'll try it out. And if Lily wants to do it, we let her. And yeah.
Awesome, awesome. So you've also grown such a strong platform showing your beautiful life with your family. Do you think your platform would have been as successful if you were not a family vlogger? Why or why not?
Um, no, I don't think it would be. I think children have such an innocence to them, and it's kind of magical to watch. And I don't think I'm as magical, so I don't think I would have done well with just me. And I also probably not would not have posted anything with just me anyways.
I totally understand that. Totally understand that. So what have been some of the benefits of family vlogging?
Some of the benefits, I mean, when Lily was first born, we were having difficulty affording formula, affording diapers. So having TikTok now and gaining the following we have, it's really amazing to know that we have like enough for Lily's college, we have enough for diapers, we have enough for formula. We were able to have another kid. Like we wouldn't have been able to have Violet, Lily's sister, if it wasn't for TikTok, because yeah.
TikTok is great for those reasons. Your oldest daughter, Lily, has the most contagious laugh. I say that from the heart, from watching. And her adorable smile can really brighten the days of many, which I am guilty of. What do you think have been some of her favorite moments on her page?
Oh my gosh, she's had the time of her life. Like, no matter what she's doing, she has fun. But I think her favorite is definitely when she finds bugs and finds like a little bunny rabbit outside and brings it in and pets it. Like, she's just had so much fun, just being herself.
Yeah,
And
that's awesome. And Violet as well. Violet is very
yeah.
young still, but do you think she has any favorite moments at all yet, or it's too early?
Yeah, no, she probably 2 weeks ago when we let her have an Oreo for the first time. I like really loved that.
Yeah. So, Brittany, what have been some of your best memories as a content creator?
Um, just being able to be with my family. We've been lucky enough to be able to go to Florida, to New York, and my husband has been able to take off work, and so have I. So we just spend more time with family, and that's my favorite part about it.
And what have been some of the tougher moments?
There's definitely been some tough moments being a content creator and influencer. It's really hard to know what's going to upset people. Like, for example, we took Lily fishing for the very first time, and I had no idea that this would cause so much backlash and so much hateful comments on our Instagram. TikTok was okay. Instagram was so mad that we went fishing, and I don't know, we took her fishing one time. I remember doing it with my dad when I was little, so I thought it would be okay. And we ended up taking like 3 days off of social media, well, close to a week. Because I was just like, I don't know why everyone's so upset.
And in light of recent controversies surrounding the world of family vlogging, what advice do you have for those just starting out?
My advice is definitely do not force content with your kids. Let them decide if they want to be filmed or not. I mean, with Lily, we film about 5 minutes a day, like every other day. We never vlog with her. We never follow her around. We don't post the long YouTube videos. But another piece of advice is don't quit your day job if you have one, because social media is not forever. And I don't know, I think it's scary to rely on it for an income. Yeah.
What would you say is the goal of your page as a whole? What do you want people to think of when they hear BrittiKitty?
Definitely we just want to make people laugh and smile and be a little bit of a light in the world. Like, I know a lot of people have, dark times and it's hard to find reasons to smile. And I just hope that Lily and I and Violet and Mike can make someone smile on their tough days.
And that wraps us up. Thank you so much for joining us, Brittany. You were a pleasure to speak with.
For having me.
As debate continues surrounding the possible repercussions of family vlogging, not only on their subjects, but on the viewers themselves, parents and lawmakers have one important question to ask. How can we protect child viewers of the internet?
We thank Dr. Nicholas Wagner and BrittiKitty for their valuable input on child safety and online content. Looking forward, we must consider all of the factors brought up today and remember that there are real people behind the screens.
And that's a wrap for this episode of On That Point. We'd like to thank our guests once more for joining us.
As we say goodbye, make sure to follow us on Instagram and Twitter at On That Point and like us on Facebook. On behalf of our entire crew here in the studio, I'm Srushti Karve.
And I'm Jezelle Anim-Addo. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.